All right, get ready for some woofs because
Yes.
we are diving into the world of Rottweilers today.
Oh,
And you've really given us quite a spread of sources on this one. We're talking
Yeah.
Cesar Millan for the training side. We've got AKC breed history to dig through, even some real-life Rottweiler owner stories from YouTube.
Oh, cool.
So it's like you want the full picture, right? Like
Yeah.
what makes these dogs tick? How do you handle that strength they've got? And can they really be those big, cuddly family dogs that we see sometimes?
Yeah, a lot of people are curious about that. It's a really good mix of information to get into. Rottweilers, they have a certain reputation, but like any breed, there's a lot more to them than meets the eye.
For sure.
So yeah, we'll go through the history, how they went from working dogs and now they're more companion dogs often, and we'll see like what makes them tick.
Absolutely. All right, so buckle up because we're starting with a history lesson way more interesting than anything you learned in school.
Yeah.
We're talking ancient Rome.
Mm.
Ever thought of a Rottweiler as like a soldier's best friend?
It's true. Like if you think about Roman legions marching, it wasn't just soldiers. They had to eat, right?
Of course.
So they had these drover dogs, which were early ancestors of Rottweilers, and these dogs were essential. These weren't like pampered pups. These were serious working dogs, herding livestock, protecting them on long journeys. Talk about a support system.
It's like canine logistics experts. They're part of the whole operation.
Right, exactly.
So then the Roman Empire, it falls, but these tough dogs, they end up in Germany, Rottweil to be precise, and I think by now people have figured that out.
Yeah.
But they traded in the legions for butchers.
Yeah, you got it. So Rottweiler Metzgerhund, right, which translates to butcher's dog of Rottweil. So picture it. These dogs are herding livestock in the butcher's yard. They're pulling carts full of meat.
Oh, wow.
No wonder they're so strong, right?
Makes sense.
And there are even stories about butchers, trusting these dogs so much that they'd tie their money pouches right around the dog's neck. Talk about built-in security.
Oh my gosh, trusting a dog with your paycheck?
Right.
That's a whole other level.
Right, like you gotta trust that dog.
Yeah.
But then things changed, right? We get industrialization, railroads pop up, and suddenly those butcher jobs, they weren't as in demand anymore.
Right, right.
Yeah, but here's where the Rottweiler adaptability really shines, right? They had the brains and the brawn, and people noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Early 20th century, you start seeing them as police dogs, military dogs.
Yeah.
That's when that reputation for being powerful protectors, that's when it really starts to take hold.
Wow. From Roman roads to police patrols, what a resume.
Right.
And today, we see them doing it all right. Working dogs, family pets, even therapy dogs offering comfort. Talk about a breed that's really found its way into so many parts of our world.
Yeah, it really speaks to their versatility. They haven't lost that core strength, that history, but they're finding new ways to kind of fit into modern life.
Yeah.
And that leads right into something I know a lot of people wonder about their temperament, right? Because, let's be real, you say Rottweiler, some people get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Are they big softies deep down, or is there like real aggression there?
That's the question, right?
It's the million-dollar question. And it's a lot more nuanced than just a yes or no, Like, yes, they are protective by nature. It's in their DNA. Those guarding instincts, those herding instincts from way back, those are strong.
Right.
But saying they're just straight up vicious, that's not really accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're wired to protect, their pack, whether that's their human family or their territory. And that's where training comes in.
Yeah. And speaking of training, I'm so glad you included that Cesar Millan video because it's amazing to see how he handles that protective energy that they have.
Yeah, he's really good.
He doesn't try to squash it or anything. It's more about redirecting it, right?
Exactly. That's what's so smart about his approach. He's working with the dog, not fighting against their nature.
Right.
He'll use food, calm energy. It's like he's saying, hey, look, there's nothing to worry about here. Let's focus on this instead. Remember that Rottweiler in the car, barking like crazy?
Yeah.
And Cesar, he just calmly redirects, and boom, suddenly the dog's all about the treats and the praise.
It's like magic, but it's not. It's about, teaching them to use that energy in a good way.
It's training.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not about pretending they're not who they are, but it's about making sure those instincts are, pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where early socialization is so important, exposing them to all sorts of people, places, sounds, experiences that helps them learn the difference between a genuine threat and just, everyday stuff. Because a Rottweiler that reacts aggressively to every single person they see on the street, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that actually connects to some of the research that you included, like that study mentioned in the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, right.
They found that, yeah, Rottweilers tend to be more aggressive towards strangers than some other breeds.
Right. But again, it's not aggression in a vacuum. You got to think about their history, their instincts. They're alert, they're observant. They were literally bred to protect.
That makes sense.
So yeah, they have that potential for intensity, but in the right hands with the right training.
Right.
It's about turning that into being an exceptional guardian, not a problem,
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a lot to consider, If someone's listening to this thinking, okay, a Rottweiler in my life,
Yeah.
what do they realistically need to be ready for?
I think it really comes down to, are you ready to be the leader that a Rottweiler needs? Because they are not a breed for casual ownership.
Yeah.
We're talking commitment to training,
Yeah.
to understanding their energy level.
Right.
And honestly, accepting that a thick leather collar, that might not stand a chance against their strength.
Oh, are you talking about that story from the Roddy Ranch YouTube channel? Because, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That story about their dog snapping a collar because another dog barked. I was like, the strength in that neck.
Yeah, they are powerful dogs.
Yeah.
But then, beyond even just that one anecdote, their whole routine, waking up early for walks, multiple walks a day, having a super secure fence,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's dedication.
It is, and that's the reality of it, right? These dogs, they were bred to work.
Yeah.
So just lounging around all day, that's not really in their DNA. They need outlets for their energy, for their minds. So regular exercise, mental puzzles, training that pretty much never stops, those are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
we can't
think
forget
I've
about
seen-
their health either, right?
Yeah.
That Wikipedia article mentioned hip dysplasia.
Okay.
It's a common issue in Rottweiler, so that's something to be aware of.
Absolutely. It's part of being a responsible owner is knowing those things that could come up, being
Yeah.
prepared,
Right.
not just waiting until something goes wrong, but being proactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So speaking of care, what about the day-to-day stuff? Grooming, for example. Are we talking constant trips to the groomer with a Rottweiler?
Actually, you might be surprised. Rottweilers are relatively low maintenance on the grooming front. They've got that short double coat.
Right.
And honestly, a good brushing once a week, that's usually enough to keep things under control.
Okay, so no need to go all out on the fancy brushes and all the different tools.
Well, a good brush is still handy, especially when shedding season rolls around.
Right.
Because, let's be real, even with a short coat, they do shed.
Yeah.
So that regular brushing will help keep their coat looking nice, and it'll minimize how much fur you're finding on your clothes and furniture.
That's always a plus. And speaking of their coat, they have such an iconic look, right?
Yeah.
The black and tan, you see a Rottweiler, you know it's a Rottweiler.
Absolutely. And the AKC breed standard is very specific about those markings.
Is it really?
Yeah, so black is the base, and
Yeah.
then they have those clearly defined tan markings on their cheeks, their muzzle, their throat, chest, legs, even above their eyes.
Oh, wow. So it's very precise.
It is.
It's like they're wearing a tuxedo.
It's pretty striking, right? And
Yeah.
those markings, they're not just for show.
Right.
They're a key part of the breed's history.
Interesting.
It's about preserving that visual identity. And speaking of things that are important to maintain, let's talk about diet, right?
Yeah.
What are we feeding a Rottweiler to keep them healthy, keep them fueled up?
Right, because all that energy, got to have the right fuel.
Exactly. Exactly. Like any large breed, it's all about balance. High-quality dog food is essential, whether you're going with kibble or maybe exploring a raw diet. That's the foundation.
Okay.
The key is to avoid overfeeding, which can be tempting with a dog that's always ready to eat.
I bet, yeah.
You don't want a chubby Rottweiler. They need to be able to move.
Right.
The Roddy Ranch YouTube channel, they actually do a mix of kibble and raw food for their dogs, which I thought was an interesting approach.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for your dog and for you.
Right. And there's options out there.
Exactly.
So you mentioned treats. What's a good option for a Rottweiler? Because obviously, treats are important.
Oh, yeah. Got to have those rewards for training.
Exactly.
So for puppies, it's best to stick mostly with their regular kibble as treats.
Okay.
Helps avoid upsetting their tummies with a bunch of extra ingredients while their digestive systems are still developing.
Right.
But for adult Rottweilers, you've got more flexibility.
Yeah, what gets them excited?
Well, they use a mix. Dog bones, milk bones, greenies for dental health, even a few bacon bits here and there.
Oh, nice.
The key is moderation
Right.
and finding healthy options that your dog enjoys.
So it's that positive reinforcement,
Exactly.
which takes us back to training, something we've touched on a lot throughout this whole thing. Yeah. But with a Rottweiler, it's not just about, like, teaching them fun tricks, right?
No.
It's about setting boundaries,
Right.
making sure they can be, happy, well-behaved members of society.
Absolutely. Obedience training is fundamental for any dog.
Yeah.
But with a breed as powerful as a Rottweiler, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It's about creating clear communication, establishing yourself as the leader, making sure their strength is never a danger to themselves or others.
And socialization.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes hand in hand with that, right? We talked about it a bit earlier.
100%. Early and consistent socialization is so important.
Yeah.
Introducing them to all sorts of people, places, situations
Right.
helps them build confidence, helps them learn appropriate social behavior,
Yeah.
and hopefully prevents those fearful or reactive responses.
Right. So for anyone out there picturing themselves with a Rottweiler puppy,
Right.
be ready to jump into those puppy classes, find a qualified trainer.
Absolutely.
Make socialization a part of your daily routine.
It's an investment, really, in your dog's well-being and the safety of everyone they encounter.
Yeah.
It's about setting them up for success.
Absolutely. And, speaking of things that can really impact a Rottweiler's well-being,
Sure.
I think we need to address something that's, a little bit of an elephant in the room,
Okay.
their reputation, and specifically breed-specific legislation.
Right.
So for those who might not know, we're talking about laws that actually target certain breeds,
Yeah.
often based on, like, stereotypes
Uh-huh.
rather than a dog's individual behavior.
Right.
And unfortunately, Rottweilers, they're frequently on that list.
They are. It's a complex issue and
Yeah.
often very controversial.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to remember that breed-specific legislation, or BSL as it's often called, it's usually rooted in fear
Right.
and prejudice rather than, any solid evidence. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, every dog is an individual, right?
Of course.
Judging them solely on their breed, it's just not fair or accurate.
Absolutely not. So for those responsible Rottweiler owners out there, what can they do? How can they push back against these stereotypes and really promote a more positive image of their breed?
Well, it starts with being the best possible ambassador for the breed, right?
Yeah.
Making sure your Rottweiler is well-trained, socialized, and under control when you're out in public. It's about demonstrating that responsible ownership makes all the difference.
Like you said earlier, being that leader that they need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's about advocating for fair and evidence-based dog laws, not ones based on, bad information or fear-mongering.
Right.
Educate others about the breed, share your positive experiences, and challenge those misconceptions head on.
Yeah, and supporting organizations that are fighting against BSL, promoting responsible ownership, I mean, that's huge, right?
Absolutely. It's about joining a community of like-minded people who understand these dogs and are working towards a better future for them.
Yeah, where they're judged as individuals, not just, lumped into this category.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a multifaceted effort, but it's a worthwhile one,
For sure.
Responsible ownership isn't just about caring for your dog. It's about advocating for them on a larger scale.
Absolutely.
But you know what? Let's maybe take a little break from the serious stuff for a minute.
Yeah.
Talk about something a little more fun, because despite their serious reputation, Rottweilers, they have a playful side, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those Roddy Ranch videos are proof of that. Those dogs have so much fun playing.
Yeah.
They've got that energy, and they have those, like, goofy, lovable moments that I think any dog owner can relate to.
And we can't forget about their love of cuddling. They might be big and strong,
Right.
but they're also known for being big softies who love nothing more than to snuggle up with their favorite humans.
Oh, see, there's all these layers to them.
Exactly. They're a breed that can bring so much joy, both through their working drive and their, playful, affectionate personalities.
It's about that balance.
Yeah.
Right? The dedication to the training, the responsibility of being their owner, but then also those incredible rewards of sharing your life with a dog that's capable of such, deep loyalty and love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those playful moments, those cuddly moments, they remind us that, every dog is an individual.
Right.
We can't let these breed stereotypes dictate how we perceive them and how we interact with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked history,
We have.
temperament, the non-negotiables of Rottweiler care. We even got into the complexities of breed-specific legislation.
Yeah.
But there's one more topic that I think we should touch on, and it's a sensitive one. But it's Rottweilers and children.
Right. Yeah.
Because, those protective instincts, which are amazing in so many ways, they're something to really consider carefully when kids are involved.
Absolutely. It's a conversation that requires honesty
Yeah.
and a good dose of realism, Because even if it's unintentional, a Rottweiler's size and strength, it can be a danger to a child.
Right.
Right? We never want to underestimate that. And it's not just about roughhousing or playtime either. It's feeding time, if they're feeling possessive of a toy.
Yeah.
Even just cuddling, those instincts can kick in when you least expect it. And with a child, it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, for sure. So for families listening, maybe they've got little ones running around and they're hearing all this about Rottweilers. Maybe they're kind of drawn to them. What's the most important thing to remember?
Supervision. 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 It is non-negotiable. I don't care how well trained you think your dog is,
Right.
how much you trust them. Never, ever leave a Rottweiler unsupervised with a young child.
And it's not just on the dog, right?
Yeah.
It's not about just saying be good.
Yeah.
It's about setting everybody up for success, creating an environment where those, potentially iffy situations are just less likely to happen in the first place.
Right. Exactly. It's the little things, feeding them in a separate space from the kids, teaching children how to approach the dog calmly, not letting them, climb all over the dog.
Right.
It's about boundaries, understanding that a Rottweiler's love is strong, but so are their instincts.
And that education, it goes both ways, right?
I
It's
think-
not just on the dog. It's about teaching kids how to be around dogs, period.
100%.
Yeah.
Kids need to learn how to read a dog's body language.
Yeah.
To know when to give them space, to approach gently. It's about mutual respect.
Absolutely. So again, not saying Rottweilers can't be fantastic family dogs, but it's a decision that needs a little extra thought,
Yeah.
a little extra preparation when there are children in the mix. It's about going above and beyond with that training, with that supervision, just to make sure everyone's safe.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Choosing any dog for a family is a big deal.
Right.
But with a Rottweiler, that responsibility, it's amplified.
Yeah. It's definitely something to take seriously. Okay, so we have really, really dug deep into the world of Rottweilers today.
We have
From their, ancient Roman roots to modern families.
It's quite a journey.
Their history, their temperament, the joys and the challenges of having one by your side. And I think we've, really hit home the point of what it takes to be a responsible Rottweiler owner.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. It's more than just, loving dogs. It's about understanding them,
Right.
advocating for them, really meeting their needs so they can be the best dogs they can be.
And that's the beauty of it, right? That bond that we can have with these animals. Rottweilers, they give so much. Loyalty, protection, even just that goofy playfulness.
Right.
But they need someone who's going to give back in equal measure. Someone who's going to be that consistent, firm, but loving guide.
I love how you put that.
Yeah.
As we're kind of wrapping up this deep dive, I'm curious, for someone who's been listening to all of this, maybe their interest is piqued, maybe they're seeing Rottweilers a little differently. What are your final thoughts for them?
Here's what I'll say. Every breed has its stereotypes.
Yep.
But Rottweilers, they often face an uphill battle.
They do.
So if you're drawn to them, don't let fear or misinformation hold you back.
Right.
Do your research, connect with reputable breeders, and most importantly, ask yourself honestly, can you provide what a Rottweiler needs? Not just for today, but for their whole life.
It's a big commitment, but it sounds like it can be such a rewarding one.
It can be, absolutely, because knowledge is power. And with a breed like this, being informed is the first step to being a responsible owner.
Could not agree more. Well, on that note, I think we've said it all.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of